What is the lore of pseudoscience? How does it compare to religion? Inspired by an interesting talk by Dr. Simeon Hein on remote viewing, we are going to argue that pseudoscience is poetry with a veneer of engineering technology.
Religion is mostly poetry, sometimes expressing a mythological view of a people's history.
Perhaps we should consider some of the words and ideas referenced in a typical pseudoscientific presentation. Dr. Hein used almost all of these, with the exception of magnetism and hypnosis paradigm. Every once and a while, scientific thought undergoes some major shifts in ideas, approaches, and theories. What better way to back an incredible claim, but to lure people with the promise of being elite pioneers entering a new frontier? Any pseudoscientist worth his salt will imply that his listeners are indeed witnessing this sort of change, and must use this term frequently.
In order to further give credence to crazy ideas, it's best to reference as many of those famous paradigm shifts as possible. This approach is rather elegant because most people do not fully understand these theories, and hence it's possible to bring forth these ideas without sacrificing their conclusions. Quantum mechanics is a favorite because of some rather strange effects that apparently happen to small particles. This is fantastic if one wants to imply similar things happen to large objects in a way we can somehow control. Chaos theory discusses how some systems, like the weather, are extremely unstable. The idea is that small changes to the inputs in such a system can have a huge impact in the end result. This is why it's difficult to write computer weather prediction systems. Whether your system is a chaotic system or not, a good pseudo-evangelist will pay lip service to this theory. Fractals are shapes that are infinitely self-similar. That is, if each time you magnify the shape, it looks like the whole. It does indeed have scientific applications, but typically a pseudoscientist alludes to it in order to dazzle his audience with interesting ideas. The theory rarely makes real use of the fractal itself.
Energy. Energy drives everything. Hein employed the term subtle energies in his talk. The word invokes powerful images, sounds scientific, and also ties in well with religion and magic. Waves. Waves have always fascinated us. In addition to the rhythm of the water wave, light and quantum mechanics come to mind. Bringing radio waves into the equation is natural, because it's a mode of communication we can understand. This allows us to bring in lots of other visual ideas such as resonance, and of course the mysterious crystal. Crystals have a fascinating simple structure, are deceptively beautiful, but we all know that they can be used to make radios. They are a powerful symbol that indeed have been part of our mythology for centuries, and because radios are made with crystals resonating to radio waves, they have acquired more meaning in modern times to color the prose of our poet-engineer.
Symmetry and geometry. Describing elegant shapes engages the imagination of one's audience. If one can employ the golden ratio, it allows one to be able to throw in lip service to Da Vinci to entice the mind with some mysterious facts, and also further draw the listener in on the spell. In Hein's case, he then constructs a spiral which he claims employs the golden ratio. Mathematical terms are nice too. If they can be thrown in the case of remote viewing, a matrix is invoked. It sounds technical, and at the same time latches on to the powerful idea of a computer network with which we are all familiar. This combination of the mysterious with the familiar is a wonderful technique for opening our minds to the idea. Celestial. Nothing amazes us more than the heavens above. A good quack will find ways to throw in our interest in the planets, the galaxies, the sun, or the moon. In Hein's case, he connects the shape of the galaxy to his spiral. Subconscious. It's great to reference the ideas of Freud if you can, because most of us are familiar with these ideas and they lead credence to one's theories. Hein plays on the popular knowledge about the right and left brain, Freud's theories about the subconscious mind, and of course his concept of the id. Conspiracy. It's important to either invoke government cover-up and/or top-secret government research. This builds on a powerful mythology, and also on the understanding that governments do in fact acquire knowledge unavailable to outsiders. Curiously, in Hein's case, he managed both. In actual fact, the American government did spend a few $1,000,000 on a failed remote viewing program which he was obligated to pay for its full legitimacy value. He alludes to this idea that this technology is something we all possess, but this power is forced out of us by our conventional learning. A good conspiracy is not complete if what is denied does not. References. It's important for the pseudo-scientist to reference. A good pseudo-evangelist needs to invoke the ideas of his peers. One way to do this is to pay credence to other crazy theories such as UFO sightings, crop circles, and the like. In Hein's case, he was actually lax in this area. He did reference UFOs because he was addressing a UFO conference. His ample discussion of crop circles was an excuse to bring into play some of his other work, and also to strengthen the connection to geometric forms. There exist many other popular techniques. Connections to ancient civilizations and their lost knowledge is very popular. Hein neglects this, but manages to get an example of remote viewing that sees into the past and connects with the creation of the statues at Easter Island. He managed to forego the standard invocations of the lost knowledge of the ancient Egyptians, ancient Mayans, and Druids. Such techniques he leaves to other quacks.